Alright guys, now we're going to change our focus to the expansion west during the same time as Reconstruction. The mining boom is the biggest boom in this area. Some would skim for gold dust from the streams, but most of the gold was underground in these lodes. Huge, rich streaks of ore where there's valuable minerals in between layers of just ordinary rock. The lone miners, they couldn't make much out of this here because they didn't have the equipment to get down there and start uh, pulling it out. So it was turned over to mining companies. But this really begins with this guy right here, Henry Comstock. And he discovers what comes to be known as the Comstock lode. Huge load of silver in there. He ends up selling his share for $11,000 and 2 mules. But the total value of all the gold and silver pulled out was $300 million. And because of all of these discoveries, you have these boom towns. These towns that just spring up overnight. People from all over the world would come there hoping to strike it rich. And a good miner, working hard, could make $2,000 a year working in these mines. Some of it for mining companies, really not on your own because you, again, didn't have the equipment. But to put that into perspective, the average teacher at the time made only $500 a year. This was huge business. But there's a lot of violence and theft. People had moved in faster than there was law and order, so most people were vigilantes. They took the law into their own hands. There were very few police and certainly no prisons. Men outnumbered the women 2 to 1. The women in the towns, a lot of them worked as cooks, did laundry, ran hotels, worked as bartenders, that sort of thing, providing entertainment for these miners who basically had nothing to do with their money. So you have people like Rosa May here who operated these kinds of establishments where there was a lot of different forms of entertainment, gambling, drinking, and of course the dancing girls, which was sort of the big attraction of the time period. But by bringing the women in, it sort of calmed things down a little bit. And you started to see schools and churches start to emerge, and law and order starts to come in. The problem is that these towns didn't last very long, because as soon as the valuable ore is out, you're going to leave. There's no reason to stay. And Virginia City, Nevada is sort of the quintessential or the epitome of all of this. In the 1870s, Virginia City, Nevada had about 30,000 people living in it. And you see a photo of it here. And it's a very rough photo, I know. But this gives you some perspective. Now you're going to see it here about the 1880s. Still similar size in terms of its town. And then, this is sort of what it looks like today. Now, this is actually a photo of Silver City, Nevada, but the same principle applies. By 1900, there were 4,000 people in Virginia City, Nevada. They become ghost towns where they've sort of become a tourist attraction. People don't really live in these places anymore. And some people remain to mine copper and others struck out to other areas. And this enabled these territories to become states much more quickly. Thanks, guys, for paying attention. Hopefully we took good notes.